Welcome to Unit 5 of College Aid course from COIN. In Unit 5, we're going to talk about grants, so let's jump right in. Grants is one type of financial aid for students attending college or career school. Most type of grants, unlike coins, are sources of free money that generally do not have to be repaid. Grants can come from career school or private or non-profit organizations. For today's lesson, we're going to focus on grants from the federal government. So let's start off with some brief explanations on what the grants are. Most of the grants are awarded only to students with significant financial need. Whether you're eligible for the grant or not will be determined by application you're going to submit. So the process to apply for the grant is really similar to any other financial aid. So you should first submit a free application for federal student aid, as known as FAFSA form. And FAFSA includes family's information, including income and number of children enrolled in college. You can easily find this information from the official website of Federal Student Aid. As you can see right now, the information included in the form would be text and untext income, assets, family size, number of family members who will attend college, and cost attendance depending on what program you take at the school. So these are all going to be used to generate a number known as the Students Expected Family Contribution, or EFC, which we also covered in Unit 4. Other factors that could vary amount of money you can get would be your status as a full-time or part-time student, or your plans to attend school for a full academic year or less. So one example would be you might be qualified and you may be able to get $5,895 in Pell Grant funds for the 2020 and 2021 school year if your EFC is $500 and your cost of attendance is $1,000. So the metric really depends on different factors that I mentioned before. Once you've submitted FAFSA form, your college will let you know how much you may receive and when you may receive it. There are actually 4 different types of grants you can consider, but today I'm going to explain to you guys about the federal Pell Grants specifically. So federal Pell Grants usually are awarded only to undergraduate students who display exceptional financial need and have not earned a bachelor's, graduate, or professional degree. It is really attractive solution for some students, as in some cases it almost covers half of the cost or even the entire tuition. However, again, really depending on which school you apply, and it may be only a drop of a bucket at some 4 years college. The amount of budget passed by the Congress will change annually, which is why students apply to the grant every year with a new form. So let's pull up an example for this year. This year, for 2020 and 2021, the maximum Pell Grants award was measured at $6,345 and the minimum was $639, which is increased by $150 compared to last year. Like any other grants, the major pro of the Pell Grant is that you don't need to repay it. However, I'm going to tell you some exceptional circumstances which you may have to repay parts of your grants you received. So, one example would be withdrawing early from the program. So, if you're dropping out in the middle of the program, you might not get the full grant that you received earlier. Also, receiving other federal aids or scholarships might potentially reduce your need for the grant. For the qualification, the government would give Pell Grants based on whether or not you meet the income eligibility guidelines. But they really go over a lot of factors like I mentioned before, so it doesn't really hurt you to apply for the grant even if you don't think you'll qualify. And your Pell Grant eligibility can be affected if you do not make progress towards your degree or you drop out of a semester of school without a valid reason. So if you fail too many classes, your eligibility for the future grants may be affected. So my tip is don't hesitate to apply if you need financial aid, and once you are accepted, you gotta perform well at school. If you did not succeed getting Pell Grants, please don't be frustrated because there are other options you might want to consider. Student loans present another option, but use them as a last resort. If you do take out student loans, carefully budget your money and limit the amount you borrow as much as possible. Scholarship is a better alternative, and we're going to talk in depth about what type of scholarship there are. You might be eligible soon in the next unit. So, quick summary from today's lesson. First, grant is one type of financial aid which does not require repayment in normal circumstances. Yet, it requires some qualification process when you try to apply for it. So, you should submit an application form to FAFSA, which is not really different from any other types of financial aid. Second, since the amount of budget that Congress passes changes annually, you need to submit a new application every year if you want to continue receiving the aid. Lastly, there are some factors that might affect your eligibility for full coverage of your tuition, meaning you might have to repay under certain circumstances that I explained earlier. So, grant is a great solution for a financial problem that you might be going through right now. Keep in mind my bullet points and hope this was helpful for you and understand another way to enter college with lower price. Thank you for watching.